Hi, this is just another film critic and company here to talk about the latest Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
So here we are, a thief, one thug, an assassin, a maniac, and an angry little tree.
And while the TV series have sort of kept the Marvel thing going, it feels like it's been a while since the last Marvel movie, and I'm a fan of this current run of Marvel movies. They always make me laugh, occasionally make me cry. I feel like all of them have the right tone, and that's something I'm going to talk about later. This story is not quite what I was expecting in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I was expecting them to jump around the galaxy, saving things, lots of different characters involved, but instead this time we got a much more small and intimate story, where they still did manage to save the galaxy, mind, but it's about Star-Lord meeting his dad, who happens to be Kurt Russell.
I'm your dad, Peter.
And before I go any further, I will say that the anti-aging that they do on Kurt Russell earlier on in the film, it's still too obvious. It's so obvious when they get an older actor or a younger actor and try and make them look older or younger. I mean, barring the curious case of Benjamin Button, where they really did get that right, seeing Kurt Russell at 30, especially since I've seen The Thing, you know, a movie where Kurt Russell actually was 30 something like 8 times, it's really obvious. It's funny for the wrong reasons to me. And the man is aging well. The man is as charismatic as ever. This isn't a knock on him, but those anti-aging effects just aren't there in the same way as the alien effects. So we have a more intimate story, where he talks to and finds his father. There's a bit of twists and turns going on. Lots of the characters have their moments, don't have their moments. There's lots of conflict. Good story, another story. I won't delve too much into that aspect of it, but one thing I would like to talk about with Guardians of the Galaxy is the tone of the movie, and how it relates to the tone of a lot of Marvel movies. Now, the first Guardians of the Galaxy, if you remember, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, the soundtrack is based on a cassette tape that Star-Lord has as a kid. That's all dancey, it's nice, it's fun, it's got the Jackson 5 other songs on there. I've got them on my phone, but I don't know who they're by, but it's just a really dancey thing, and it doesn't suit the space opera thing, but it sort of does suit the space thing.
They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What a bunch of a-holes.
And the introduction to the first movie is just him dancing around, and the title Guardians of the Galaxy just comes up. For me, the introduction to movies is always very important. It can often tell you a lot about what you're about to see. Whether it's the original Ghost in the Shell or new Ghost in the Shell introduction, the James Bond introductions, stuff that's showy like that, or in a comedy just something stupid happens with a punchline at the end. It should tell a lot about the movie. And Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, and I'll get to it in a moment, the second one, just says, we're here to have a fucking good time. The second one, it was a much more choreographed and really impressive introduction that has little cute Groot, very cute little Groot, dancing around while everyone else fights a space alien just in the background. And the space alien, you know, is not going to be a huge conflict, so while it's a tough fight, you don't need to take it too seriously, and Groot's just dancing around, probably better than I dance. And it's great. I was laughing straight away. I knew I was going to love this movie. But at the same time, and something the movie really manages to do, is pull on emotional strings as well. The first movie did this, the newer movie does this, and I think it does it better than a lot of other Marvel movies. I'll say straight out, I am a crybaby with movies. I don't get through Toy Story 3 without crying 6 times or something. I recall my nieces laughing at me when they were kids and I was watching it with them. They were fine, I wasn't doing okay. And yeah, there's moments in there, you know, where I feel really bad for a lot of the characters and I'm really invested, and then other moments where I laugh my ass off. And that's the tone of these movies, that's the tone of a lot of these Marvel movies and what I like about them. So to relate Guardians of the Galaxy 2 back to the other Marvel movies, I will say that along with Doctor Strange, I always find the Guardians of the Galaxy movies to be by far the weirdest and most wonderful of the movies. I'd actually compare it to the original Star Wars trilogy, as in the 70s trilogy, in that it's not science fiction. It's not trying to convince you this is how humans would be, this is the human element in this out there zone. It's just going full potato straight away. Here are all these races, here are talking robots with personalities, you will accept this. And I'm fine with that. And one thing you get with that, and I think this probably derives a lot from the comics, but still I think there are a lot of good artists on this film, is a lot of unique, weird and wonderful creature designs. My favourite in the original movie by far was Groot, but again, Drax the Destroyer. great, all that. The creators of this film probably had a lot of license to do some weird, wonderful, and strange things with a lot of the characters. My personal favorite design was Nebula, played by some actress. I'm not going to remember her name right now, but I like that design. I like the way she talks. I like the name. I like the way she stitches herself back together afterwards. The sort of science fiction guy in me just enjoys that aesthetic, her aesthetic, and a lot of people could have their favorites in this movie. And another thing, before I close up, before I finish, because I'm sure this is running long, by far my favorite performance in this movie, and the one that made me laugh the most, was Dave Bautista as Drax.
You get to know Drax a little bit more, a lot of the witty dialogue.
You just need to find a woman who is pathetic, like you.
One joke I will spoil is that Drax was unintentionally, exceptionally mean to a pretty young lady that we thought he might have a romance with, they had a couple of moments with, and he ruined it all by blank-faced saying something horrible to her. Won't ruin what, but that was a very funny moment for me. And another thing I really like about the Drax performance, I recall reading an article a while back on the first movie saying that an autistic kid identified pretty strongly with Drax, that he's someone that doesn't understand emotions, that takes things quite literally. And I don't know if that was an intention of the performance, but you know, I recall feeling warm and fuzzy inside with that article, so I'm gonna like that again. So to conclude, this movie made me laugh. It might have made me cry, but I managed to hide it from Steph, so we'll never know if it made me cry or not. Another great Marvel movie. It's just keeping the ball rolling. They keep on churning out these quality films, and while some people are sick of superhero movies, I'm not yet, because I feel like each of these films is different enough and definitely entertaining enough that I personally want to continue watching them. But much like reviewing, say, earlier Harry Potter film, I feel like at this stage, people watching this, people looking up Guardians of the Galaxy 2 review, they're either gonna see it, they've either made up their mind, or they're not, and they're probably not watching this anyway. But yeah, it's just, it delivers what you expect and maybe a little bit more. It's another Marvel movie, it's funny, it's weird, it's well designed, and Chris Pratt, even though I feel like I'm getting sick of these overly charismatic, good-looking guys as leads, you know, Captain America, guy Chris Pine from Star Trek, I like all of these guys, Thor as well. I feel like they should be interchangeable, but they're not. They're all very good. Yeah, just it is what you will expect. I enjoyed the movie, Steph enjoyed the movie. See you next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube after all.